favorite topic of mine, and
Right.
that is boundaries. And I'm very excited, because as I grew up in a family where privacy mattered, boundaries mattered. And my dad always told us boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And he would always tell us that loving a person and having boundaries has nothing to do with each other. And loving yourself and setting boundaries is everything. And to be honest with you, as a teenager, as a young woman, it never crossed my mind that, I had boundaries, but I was never mindful about it till,
Right.
everything that happened to me. And then I became basically a people pleaser, and everybody could just walk all over me, because, when you take your boundaries, when you get into the habit to please one person, you basically become a people pleaser for everyone. And I
Right.
think the moment you become a people pleaser, you forget every single boundaries that you set for yourself. Like me and all my rules and the rule book went out of the window till now that I'm a grown-up woman, and I'm a life coach. And I've learned to be mindful about all the boundaries that I'm setting, and they're helping me, not just, again, I always say this over and over again, I'm like a broken record. We are our own original client. You are a life coach because of you. You coach yourself, I coach myself. And that's why I think boundaries is the most important thing into loving yourself. The first step you take towards loving yourself, seeing yourself, is to know how to set boundaries. So
Right.
just what are boundaries? How do you set boundaries? And please share some of your boundaries and some of, the stories that you have to deal with.
Uh, for me, I like to define boundaries as more of a property line. You have the external and the internal. So in other words, your internal is more like, I define that more like your feelings. You are in control of your feelings, how you feel. So you need to set boundaries based on that,
Beautiful.
because you are in charge of how you feel when something is said to you or when something happened to you. I can't control that. That's totally up to you. And you are
Exactly.
completely in charge of that. Now, versus external boundaries, more like I said, like a property line, you have, there's my yard, there's everything, you can't be trespassing, but you don't have control of cars going back and forth, in front of your house, people walking back and forth. That's certain things you don't have control of, but your internal, you do have control who comes in, who comes out, right? So
Exactly.
for me, when it comes to emotional boundaries, feelings, I am totally in charge of that area aspect. So if, for example, in order for me to create a relationship with someone, whether it's a business relationship or a love relationship, I'm in control of those feelings in order for me to create a relationship with you. You understand? And
Yes.
sometimes relationship doesn't work. That's because one of us are not in control of their emotions, and because of that, we end up having chaos issues. We can't connect with each other because you feel like I'm crossing your boundaries. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So I think that's something that it's very important that you need to be able to learn how to set those boundaries, especially when it comes to emotions. That's very important because people make decisions, majority of people that don't know how to control their emotion, they make decisions based on that.
Exactly.
Like yeah. So to me, that's a very, very important topics that I apply every day. Because when I get up every morning, I'm in charge of how I feel. I'm in charge of no matter what happened, what comes across my desk, what comes across my attention, I'm in charge of that. So it's not up to you to figure out how I should feel or try to fix my problem, try to do this, try to do that. So that's I'm totally in charge of that, versus, external boundaries, it's a little bit different, because sometimes you don't have control of everything surrounding. You know what I mean? So things can happen. You know, you have some control, but not all. You know, so that's how I like to define it. I like to see it from a coaching point uh, uh, perspective. You know, I think the internal boundaries are very important. You know, that you have completely uh, um, full control of that. You know, how you let things get to you, because that's important. You know, so that's my way of looking at it. Obviously, there's boundaries. When you look at boundaries, you have boundaries in finance, boundaries in everything. So if you're a person that don't know how to control your finance, you're gonna be in trouble, right? You took a loan, you got to be able to make sure you pay that up, you pay it off. You know, relationship, there's boundaries. You know, boundaries and everything you can think of. So that's something that I think that's a very important puzzle that, you know, people need to work on. You know, that, you know, to in order for them to grow and make a difference.
So basically what you're saying is that we are responsible for how we feel and what we set boundaries, right? So the
Absolutely.
the responsibility is ours. And I think, like, you know, based on, like, I always give an example of my own life and the people that I work with, right? So one of the things that I've noticed is that people have problems setting boundaries because usually, you know, first of all, we have to know that we are setting these boundaries to protect ourselves. It's exactly like the door to your house. You know, you close the door because you don't want anyone to just come in, you know, not anyone,
Right,
the people
right,
that you don't know, right? So
right,
emotional boundaries, like internal boundaries, is like exactly like external boundaries when you close the door, right? And there's so many things in this subject, right? We have, like, first of all, we have to know there's a choice between protecting yourself and keeping other people happy. So you cannot do both. What I always tell people
right,
is that you have to choose you. And the moment you choose you, you have to give up pleasing other people, and you have to give up caring about how other people are going to, like, feel or think or care about you, right? And it's like, it's with everything. Like, as a parent, if you don't set boundaries with your kids, they will walk all over you. As a friend, if you don't set boundaries with your friend, they will walk over you. Because again, we usually, most of the time, we either assume that people know that they shouldn't do something or not. That's wrong. Stop assuming. First of all, we should stop assuming that people know something or don't know something. And we also should stop assuming how other people will feel, right? And the
right,
second thing that we should give up is pleasing people. We really should give up that, because you cannot please other people and protect yourself at the same time. You have to
right,
know. And the other thing, boundaries are yours to set. So again, and when it's yours to set, we're dealing with two different people who are, like, I have clients that say, like, how can I start setting boundaries, like, with my old, like, you know, with my best friends, with my old friends? And then there is new people. I think with new people, we're like, if we get into the habit of setting boundaries and stand for that, with new people, we have easier way, because again, when we get to know people, the moment they don't know. So if you tell them no, they know that this is the line they cannot cross, right? But the problem that we usually have is with older people that we've been friends with for longer time, you know, our family members, our best friends. You know, recently I've lost a lot of my friends, people that I called friends, just because I told them no. And
right,
to be honest with you, I don't care. At this point, I don't care, because again, it's between choosing me and choosing to please other people. So
right,
one thing that I want you all to know is, the moment you're setting boundaries, be ready that you're going to lose a lot of people. But those who stay there, those who respect you, are the ones that truly love you. For example, I have this rule that I don't let anyone in my house. My place is my place, because I'm very to me, people are energy, and energy lingers. So, and it's not about that I don't trust my friends. It's not about that I don't love my friends. No, I do love them. I trust them, but my space is my space. So out of maybe 5 friends that I have, one of them totally understand that, and that only one of them is still my friends. The rest are just, I'm not going to say dead to me, but the rest, we're just saying hi to each other once in a while. And again, I want you to prepare yourself for setting boundaries. And when you're setting those boundaries, stand for it. Because again, as women, and again, for obvious reason, I'm a woman, I'm not going to go where men goes, but like as women, we always say no means no, no means no. But it's up to us to show to the other people that no means no. For example, if you call me a bitch and I tell you don't do it, right? I don't like to be called a bitch. Again, it's just an example. And for first time is okay because we don't know each other, right? If you do it second times, it's my responsibility as the person who set the boundaries to leave the table, wherever that is, you know? So one thing that I want, again, I always tell people, set your boundaries because they're yours. What's not, or what you want people to do and not to do, and stand for it. And when people cross it, don't be a pin code. And that is a programming language. You know, when we type in a pin code, it gives us 3 or 4 try, right? It's okay to give people. It's okay to give people one try. You know, people don't know it. Give it one chance, but don't do it over and over again, because again, it's just like we condition people to understand, like when I say no, I'm always, you know, my no means maybe, maybe not. So no means no, yes means yes, but it's up to us to stand for it. So what do you think?
Well, I agree with everything you said. I think, like I said, we have there's boundaries in everything. In finance, love, business, leadership needs boundaries. You name it, everything has to have boundaries, including business. So let's, for instance, you have a business, you have boundaries to certain things that you want people to, they can come to your office, there's something they can do, they got to follow the rules, or boundaries, somebody come to your house, you got to make sure you take your shoes off or you can't come in.
Exactly.
You know, just like right now, you know, with the mask, it is a boundary. It's not a law that you have to have a mask on. So when you go to people's place or business, they expect you to wear the mask or else you can't come in. That's the boundary, you know? So you either follow it. If you don't want to follow, you just keep your ass home. That's it. So, but for me, what's most important to me is more internal, emotional boundaries. You know, I think that's so important to me because it's not my responsibility to make sure that you're happy. The thing that I said, how you receive it, it's up to you. You understand what I'm saying? How someone says something to me and I receive it, it's up to me. You know, so the way because I work, I train my emotional muscles every day for a reason, so I can be strong. I can be able to do things I want in life, so I can get what I want. You know, with the tools and the skills of an LP. So so I also set boundaries around these things, so to make sure that no one control my, you know, no matter what's going on with the environment, I'm in charge of how I feel.
I'm the master of my fate.
Exactly. The environment is not here to change my emotional feelings of how I feel, because those boundaries, I set them up real high. So no matter what's going on, no matter what's going on in my life or out there, you know, I'm in charge of how I move forward. I'm in charge of how I do things, no matter what you say to me. I don't care if you call me the name, all type of name in the book, you know, the N word, the F, the B word, whatever. That's up to you. You're just talking air to me, because for me, you know, I set these emotions. I'm in control of those emotions.
And I think, you know, I believe like setting boundaries for yourself is is one of the best methods to find out, to get to know people around you, you know, because again, there are a lot of people around us, from our family members, from our, our mother, brothers, cousins, our best friends, people that we've known for so long. And a lot of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but all of us, we deal with people that are toxic for us. Again,
Right.
this is a subject that I've been thinking about for so long. There are people that it can be toxic for us and not toxic for others, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
but we have to understand, we have to be very realistic about it, that we all deal with people that are toxic. And
Right.
setting boundaries, I think, is one of the best methods to see who's toxic around us. And
Right. Right.
again, be ready to cut, because you cannot have it both ways. There are
Of
things,
course.
there are moments that you have to take stands. Like, again, I will set it, I will use myself as an example, and I'm very aware of what I'm doing. It's my job as a person, as a coach, as a trainer, as a teacher. I'm very, very aware of what I'm doing. But even there are times that I notice that I don't take stand, because most of the time is because I want to give the person another chance, and when it comes to cutting people, when it comes to being realistic, I always thought that I'm a very, very realistic person, and I can make the hardest choices. I've cut people in my life that, like, I would never thought I would do, but I did. But even
Yeah.
so, it's really hard. So I understand. I know we do. I understand how hard it is. But again, it all comes to your mental health, to your physical health, and being aware of how hard it is. But it's doable. It's doable to take a stand, and that stand is you. So I
Right.
think setting these mental and emotional boundaries for yourself is a very, very good method to know who really loves you, who truly loves you. Because if people around you love you and respect you, they will understand. Even if
Right.
in the beginning, there are like, they will be taken aback, because again, some of us are just like, we're the doormats. We want to please everyone, and everybody is just like walking all over us. So if you want to start with just saying no. Learn to say no. And believe me, I've been there. Just say no is not as hard as you think it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, if
I
they really want you happy, they will understand, even if it
Yeah.
doesn't benefit them at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's a guy who says if you want to be
Yeah,
happy, I don't know. He
exactly.
didn't he didn't ask the questions, but I
No, I think
assume that
he's my friend. He means that, like, if they really want you to be happy, they understand your boundaries. They
right,
understand.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. Right, exactly. So you would have to follow the boundaries, man. It is what it is. But one thing I want to make sure it's not your responsibility to make sure someone else is happy. So
Exactly.
that's their problem. So the world doesn't rule that way. It doesn't run that way. Um, so your emotion, I think, is very important to be able to control that. And set your own boundaries. Now as far as external boundaries, that I too could find that a bit difficult to manage because sometimes
Just close your
sometimes
door.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes, especially if you got, live with family, with kids, you have to have boundaries for them. Like, hey, listen, this is the thing that you're allowed to come home at this time. You're allowed to do this. You're allowed to do that, and you got to be able to set those boundaries.
As a
And then
father, you're a dad. You have a daughter,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
How do you set boundaries with her? Again,
Well,
because I mention that because I'm asking you that because how, like, this is, I think this is the most intense and loving relationship, a relationship between a dad and his daughter. I want to know, how do you set that? How do you
well,
manage
there,
that?
there's a certain things. Setting boundaries come from a bit deeper. So it comes from values. What are your values, your beliefs? and so on. There's different stuff. So as a dad, I have values, you know, certain values that I follow, that I believe in, and certain the belief that I have to apply. Okay, this is what, from a guy point of view, you know, having a little girl, this is, you know, you men seem to be more logical than emotional,
I know.
and this is why sometimes, you know, most of the time, not all the time, you know, you find women that are make a lot more mistakes than guy, because they they more they run their life based on
More
emotion.
emotion. Yeah.
Exactly, and they end up making all the wrong decisions, you know. And men do, but not as much. You see what I'm saying? So
I
as a
don't think, you
dad, I
know,
have
again,
to.
I have to stop you there. I don't think women,
I didn't say
no,
all.
no,
I didn't
no,
say
no, no, no,
all.
no, no. I understand, but I don't think it's because, again, I think we are, all of us humans, we are like emotional beings. But
True,
I think
true.
women uh, think more that they're emotional if they're really. I always that's how what I teach the women in my circle, that instead
Right,
of thinking, let's drop out of our head into our body and see how we feel, right? And I
right,
think if you truly feel, and that's a problem, again, as a woman, as someone who works with a lot of women now, I believe that we mistakenly think that we are run by our emotions, like we are feeling, but basically we don't let ourselves feel. Because if we let ourselves feel, if we listen to our feelings, if we listen to our inner being, we can make better decisions. But we let our emotion take better of us. So, for example, I like you as a guy, right? As I'm a woman and I like you as a guy, and I see the red flags, right? So, and I see it deep down. My emotion tells me, let it be. This is not the guy. This is not the
right,
person. And
right,
we've all been there. That your
right,
inner
right.
being inside you, your feelings, your heart is telling you, let go. But our mind tells, okay, what if I cannot find better? What if he's not? I like him, let it be, right? So instead of listening to our feeling, instead of listening to our heart, basically, we'll listen to our mind. And I think that is one of the things that we do, and we let our emotion,
Right.
our take better of us,
Well,
so
that's the point I'm making. You know, yes, we all have emotions, but the word control is the key.
exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? You got to be able to control those emotions,
Guide
and
those
that's the
emotions,
difference between
basically.
men and women,
Yeah.
because they have this. They're not able to control that. You know, not all of them. You know, but most of the time, that's what happens. Because if you're a man, you're more like logical thinking to make decisions. You know, on all that stuff. And when most female, they're having a very hard time controlling these emotions. You know what I mean? So, and because of that, that's why I said they tend to make more mistakes. Not all of them,
No, no, you're
So,
right. No, no, no,
but
you're
you
right.
know,
And I was just gonna, what you're saying is totally
yeah,
right. But again, I just wanted to differentiate between we
right,
thinking what we're feeling, then
right,
we really feel what we're really feeling, because our inner being always knows the way. If you listen to ourselves, if you're listening to our heart, literally, and align our brain, our logical brain with our heart, we always know the way. But the problem always happens when there's you know our mind tell us do this and our heart tell us do that, right? There's like two different directions, and
yeah,
then we have problem guiding. And the problem with men, I believe that, again, and I'm telling about the people that I'm working with, you guys tend to shut down. You tend to just be very, very logical about it. And I think neither of this work. Being very, very emotional and letting our emotion decide for us, and being very logical and don't listen to what we really want, neither of it works, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's important. So to
Exactly.
answer the questions that you asked me earlier about my daughter, so one of the things that I set out is one thing I make sure I put out there for her. the most important decision a female can make in her life is the quality of the guy that they choose.
Exactly.
To me, that's a big boundary, and that what I mean by boundary is that's such an important fact to me, because you cannot make that decision based on emotions.
Exactly.
And not based because, well, I'm in love with them, because you got to look at everything, So it's to me, that's something that's important, because I think that's the most important decision a female can make.
It
The
is.
quality of a man that you picked
The
to be with can
partner
break
you
you,
pick.
can make
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. The partner that
So
you pick is
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, and that's based. You cannot use emotions on that one. Yes, you have all that, but you gotta see everything else.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to be an older guy, just taking care of, a female that's not,
No, you're
that's,
right.
yeah,
What you're saying is totally right, actually. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So to me, that's important, but like I said, it is such an important topic, because when, when you live in your life, you have to have boundaries, whether it's external or internal. There's certain things you're going to tolerate, certain things you cannot tolerate, and certain emotions that you don't want people to get into. This is your stuff that's going to be able to make you or break you. So
Exactly.
I think you in charge of all your emotions.
Exactly.
No matter what's happening around you, no matter who says what's going on, you in charge. You decide to be unhappy, that's your responsibility. You decide to beat yourself up, that's your problem. So that's definitely up to you. So when it comes to boundary, I think that's a very, very important topic. Absolutely.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Next Wednesday, same time,
Yes,
same place,
same time. Absolutely.
and I will announce the topic for next week.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Before I let you go, I also have we can also watch all these videos on my YouTube channel, and also on Coach Dickens' YouTube channel. And I also have live on Facebook every Monday at 5 p.m. How to love yourself to death. So just that you guys know.
Cool.
And next week I will have an announcement. Like I've just built my own program. So I'm like really, really excited. So on Mondays on Facebook, I will talk about it, and it's open enrollment. And I know that you have a program, right? You have a certificate program for NLP. So
yes.
Coach Dickens I have it. You can just follow him, follow me.
Right.
So just reach out, guys. Thank you for all the love and everything. Thank you, Dickens. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. Very,
Peace
very
out, guys.
much.
Take care.
Bye,
Talk
guys.
to next week, all
Bye.
right?
See you next week.